In this video, we will learn how to spawn resource objects on the ground in a multiplayer session and how to despawn them when we pick them up. In a single-player game, to add an object to a scene during runtime, we would simply call the Instantiate method. To synchronize the spawning process, we have to call the spawn method on an instance of a network object. When using the server authority, we need to remember that only the server can spawn netcode objects. Now, when we want to despawn a network object, the default behavior is that it will also be destroyed from the scene. Lastly, there is a difference between the dynamically spawned network objects and the in-scene placed network objects like our trees and rocks. It is not recommended to use the default despawn method on the in-scene placed network objects. That is why previously we have used the component controller to disable them instead. In our project, let's first prepare the objects to be spawned. Let's go to our _network prefabs folder, and we can see here the stone resource and the wood resource. If we open the stone resource, it is just a stone brick, and on it we have the box collider and the selection outline script. By now you should already know that we need to add the network object component to any network prefab. You can only have one network object at the root of the prefab, so we do not want to create prefabs that contains another prefab that has a network object component on it. That is why we have always added the network object on the parent component of a prefab. So let's do this here as well. Let's add a network object, leave everything as is because we need to add a network transform here because we are going to move and rotate it when we spawn it. We don't want to synchronize the scale, and we want to uncheck the rotation X and Z and the position Y. So this is the only thing that we want to synchronize. We want to have the server authority, but we want to disable interpolate because we will teleport those to the destination position when we spawn them. We leave Y rotation because we will want to randomize the rotation a bit. That's it for this prefab, so let's exit and let's open the wood resource and let's add the same setup. So the network object and the network transform and prepare it the same way. It's just a wooden plank. Let's exit it, and we need to go to our scripts folder, right click. Let's create a new mono behavior script. Let's call it ResourceSpawner. And let's open it up. This script will need to inherit from the network behavior. We will also add two serialized fields, private, network object, and we will assign our m_wood prefab and m_stone prefab because we will want to instantiate those. When we have that, let's create a public void spawn resource method that will take an object type so that we know what we want to spawn type, and we will take a vector3 position. We will add random rotation inside this method. First, let's check isServer. If this is equal to false, we are going to return because only the server can spawn an object in our network session. Next, we are going to create network behavior, object resource equals, and we are going to check type. If this is equal to object type dot wood, we are going to return m_wood prefab. Otherwise, we are going to return the m_stone prefab, and we want to have the assignment here. Now we know what to spawn. We are going to create a GameObject instance. GameObject equals Instantiate, and we are going to pass the resource dot GameObject, the position, and I have mistyped it. Okay, and we are going to type quaternion.Euler, and we are going to pass here 0, and we are going to pass Unity engine.random. Let me move it to the next line, .range, and 0 to 360, 0 on the z-axis, another bracket, and semicolon. Now we have that, we are going to call instance.get component network object : spawn. We are assuming that it always exists, so we should probably get some safety check if it exists and only then call the spawn method. We will access the resource spawner whenever we want to spawn a game object into our multiplayer session. When you're ready, save the script, let's go back to Unity. In our scene, let's maybe select the game manager and let's drag here our resource spawner script and let's assign our prefabs, our wood resource and our stone resource. Now we can go back to our scripts folder since our resource node wanted to spawn the resources around it when we destroy it. So let's open this script. At the top somewhere here we are going to add private resource spawner m_resource spawner. Now to get access to it we can create awake method, type m_resource spawner equals find object, any object by type resource spawner. Now we can use the awake method because the resource spawner object already exists in our scene. Now that we have a reference to it, let's scroll down to the harvest method, and when we have the debug.log spawning, let's call m_resource spawner.spawn resource, and we are going to pass here the m_produced object type, and we are going to pass the position. So what we have calculated in this for loop. And this is how we are going to spawn 3 resources around the node that we have disabled. If you press play and test this logic, you should see 3 wood resources appearing. Let's pick out the pickaxe, and the same thing should happen when we break the stone resource. Let's see it. And indeed 3 stone resources have been spawned for both clients, so everything works as it should. To be able to pick up those resource objects, we need to define a new model behavior script. So let's right-click, create a new C# script in the scripts folder. Let's call this pickable resource. And let's open this script up. All we have to do here is inherit from pickable base the script that we have previously created, and we are going to right-click and import or implement abstract methods that we have defined there. Our pickable tools in the apply availability state disabled their visuals. Here we are not going to have any code, so no code. This is the downside of using abstract methods. In this method we are going to check if isServer equals false. We are going to return because only the server can despawn an object, and we are going to call NetworkObject.despawn to despawn this object when we pick it up. Now, if you recall, the pickable base inherited from iInteractable, which exposed the network object, and this is how we can access it here. Save the script, let's go back to Unity. We have to go back to the _network prefabs folder and open our stone resource, and here we are going to add the pickable resource script. We are going to have to assign the selection outline, and the object type will be, this is stone resource, so stone. And let's do the same for the wood resource. Let's assign the let's add here the pickable resource script. We have to assign the selection outline, and the object type will be wood. Now we should be already able to pick up those objects, but to make sure that the player can drop the resource when we pick up a tool, for example, or a different resource instance, we need to go to our scripts folder and open our player controller script. In this script, we are going to again add a variable, the private resource spawner, m_resource spawner, and again we are going to leverage the awake method, and we can assign m_resource spawner equals find any object by type so that we can access it. We need to find our drop method, so it was, I think, at the top, drop current item method, and here we have checked if the object is of type axe or pickaxe. We have dropped it by enabling again the visuals, but we are going to add else case here, and else we are going to add m_resource spawner.spawn resource. We are going to type m_held object type dot value because we have it, and we are going to pass transform dot position as the position where we want to spawn the object. So this is how we are going to ensure that if we are holding a resource, we are going to spawn it and then set the object held object type to none. And that's pretty much it. Let's save the script and let's go back to Unity and press play. Let's start a host and start a client. Let's move towards a tool, so for example axe. Let's press E to pick it up and let's cut a tree. And let's see if we can now see the highlight over the object. We can. Let's press E, and we can now see that we are holding the wood resource and we have dropped the axe. And for now, let's disconnect. We can see that the wood resource was dropped where the player or client has disconnected. Let's start again. The client, we can see that the wood resource is still there. Let's use the second client. Let's pick it up, and we can pick it up. We can pick up the pickaxe. Let's break the stone. And let's try picking up the stone object, and we can see that we have picked it up and dropped the pickaxe. So everything seems to be working fine. In the last part of this multiplayer tutorial, we are going to make sure that we can place the resources onto those stacks, and after we fill those in, we're going to reload our game, learn about the scene management, and add a win condition basically. Thanks a lot for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next part.